If I if I record to the computer, I might not share it. But then, so it's a general question when people ask me, Brainiac, do you backtest? Yes, I backtest. But what do I do? Backtesting. At what point do I backtest? Do I backtest every time? If you can hear me loud and clear, let me know on the Mayowa, how you doing? If you can hear me, let me see in the chat box, please. It's only a few people that I can see comment in the chat. Comment in the chat box. Let me see the number of people that are active here. So, at what point do I backtest? So let's talk about backtesting session SMC. SMC. Right? So, at point of confusion, a lot of people backtest for different reasons, and I backtest for different reasons. A lot of people most likely will backtest because number one, they want to refine their edge. Number two, they want to identify problems. Number three, they want to increase their accuracy and win accuracy or win rate. So at certain times, you get used to certain price action. You get consistent with certain price action. And over time, you want to work on the effect of what you already understand. We said you want to work on certain price action. So what I am doing is basically identifying a problem and trying to solve the problem. We've seen how you understand something inside, and in the live market condition, it's a different ballgame. Why? There are perspectives at which we look at market. And I look at market from different perspectives. I look at the market through two lenses, right? Through these two lenses. The one is the first lens at which I look at the market is what I've learned that's consistently played out, which is more like a textbook setups. So this is what I've learned in insight that looks like something when I see in the market, I understand it, right? And the other one is experience, right? It's a setups as a result of experience. They are two different way at which this play out. Textbook setups are setups that if I put out, there are people that understand that. Those people that understand textbook setup are primarily going to be my mentees. Or if you have been following me quite well on Telegram, you might understand my textbook setups. Or basically what I've put out there, where I talked about stop on inducement and continuation, right? And continuations. These categories of setups fall under, this is a type A setup, right? Falls under textbook setups, which is something you would know because it falls under the lenses of what I teach. And there are setups that comes as a result of experience. This is something that I will need to explain to them, to tell them this setup, the reason why I'm taking this setup is this and this and that. Right? And I'm not going to backtest a textbook setup. I'm not going to do any backtesting session on a textbook setup because it's something that happens over time and I understand how it plays out. Most of the time. It also falls down to how I see the market, right? But I'm going to always want to backtest based on as a result of experience because most of the time it's not really, it doesn't fall on the categories of a textbook setup. It falls on the categories of how often have I seen this happen in the market. And when I see certain price actions, I will take them. That's based on experience. In fact, there are so many times that they will not even have an explanation because to explain is to make it complex for my mentee. So I do not just explain. because the trades are trades I take based on experience, not because it falls onto the categories of a perfect textbook setup. So in the case of this back test, you might come across when I start to explain the textbook setups, it makes sense to you. But when it comes to the one I will explain based on as a result of experience, it might not make sense. I don't know if I'm making sense. So when we are back testing, you might see some trades that I will likely want to take, and it will not make sense to you. Now, what are the challenges before we move into that? So what are the challenges that a traders will make when they are back testing? The first challenges that traders make, the first challenges is going to be speed in insight. Speed in insight. What does speed in insight means? When you are back testing, it's easier for me to use the replay tool of price action that's happened in, let's take a look at this chart. Let's take a look at, have I removed it? Yeah, let's take a look from here, from this high down to this low. How many days? 3 days to 22 hours, right? 3 days, 22 hours, this price action, which means that is half of a week of this price action to play out. Let's say when you want to backtest, and I'm then seeing that if I use the replay tool and I cut down this, right, which is in 3 days. Remember, the price action was 3 days. How many hours? 3 days, 22 hours, right? And I see a confirmations to sell, maybe after this candle closure, and I sell, right? Because I'm back testing. So what happens? I use the replay to speed up my price action, right? You would see that, yes, I'm speeding up this because I want it to get the result so fast. So I got this in less than a minute. I got this result in less than a minute. That is speeding insight. You are back testing and you are using your replay to, it happens so fast that what this makes you missed out, it makes you missed out on what? Price and the time of price. Which is price, which is price, which is price and time. And these are the lapses we want to fix, right, along the line. So it makes you mixed out on the price and time. So why is that? You saw a confirmation trade when you are back testing. You took it, it played out in a very fast speed. But you've missed out on the concept of price and time. Why is that? You do not know at what point in time does this form. So if you look at our time, I'm using UTC plus one. Look at this. This is UTC plus one Lagos time, West African time. This is what I'm using. If you like, you can use the New York time, -4. So that depends on, but for me personally, I'm using UTC plus one, right? So the time of trade in UTC plus one, number one, what I want to look for is this time of trade. Will I be in that trade if I'm going with my strategy? Will I be in this trade at this time? I take the trade here, right? So will I be in this trade? Number one, that is what you want to learn in backtesting. At what point do you get into trade? At what point is it likely for a trade to pan out? The duration of trade, the time of trade, and at what level of price do you want to take a trade? So the first question is, this trade makes sense for sales, yes, in backtest, in insight, in the speed of insight, it makes sense. But in live market conditions, is Brainiac going to be in this trade? Now let's find out. This trade, I'm using UTC plus one, which is West African time. This time of trade is what? 015, right? Which is, what session is that? Is it London? Is it New York? Is it Sydney? Let me see if you guys can hear me. What session is 015 in West African time? London session, New York session, Sydney session, Asian session. What session is it? 015. What session? Asian. So is there a tendency that I will take the trade based on price and time of this instrument? Is there a probability that I'm going to take it? No. But it's played out on backtesting, right? It makes sense on backtesting because it falls into my entry. It's not probably not freedom. It is not probably not. It is I will not. Why? Because this trade, as much as it played out, but it's outside of my session. So which means I'm going to miss whatever entry happens here. Yeah. Now let's take a look at this one as well. This. So I'm trying to show you mistakes that happens in live trading and in backtest. This is another one. This trade happens Tuesday, 19 o'clock. 19 o'clock, this is 24 hours time, right? Now we want to take it back to 12 hours time. This trade here, if it falls into a category of sales, is there a probability that I'm going to take this trade? Now, what time of trade does this happen? Chat. What time is this? 19 o'clock. Is it Asian, London, New York? Is it any of that time? Is it Asian, London, or New York? Is it any of that time? Chat. Is it London, Asian, 19 o'clock? Asian, right? So which means there is a large tendency that I might not also be in this trade. And these are the times that this impulsive movement has happened. So you can see the effect. It's close to New York has closed. We are moving into Asian. That's when it happens. 19 o'clock, and everything that happens here happens on until when is next time formed? 20 o'clock, right? Which is also New York closes already. So which means this impulsive move that happens in Asian, I would not be involved. But when I'm back testing, it looks like a trade that is valid for me to take, and the sales will happen. And that is the effect of speeding inside. It makes you missed out on the possibility of you not being in that trade, even though there is confirmations to be in that trade. Because number one, the time has taken you out of the trade. The time has make you understand that you're not going to be in the trade. So the next one is the speed in inside, which we've talked about basically. If you look at the duration of price action, 3 days, which means this setup takes you 3 days without you affecting or influencing, because you cannot even influence the movement of price. So how long do you have to wait for this to play out in inside? In inside that we are back testing, it's so fast, it's happening so fast that we are not sure if this is going to take 1 day, 2 days. But when we are back testing, it took us a few minutes. And in less than 1 minute, we speed up price action and we got to TP. But in back testing, price will slow down in real life conditions, price will slow down a lot. Price will what? Slow down a lot that you have to question, oh, am I making the right decision? You have to question that because that is speed. So that is one thing backtest does to you, and you have to backtest the right way. So now let's take, for instance, what is now the next thing to do. So now we've understand the criteria, or the first things we have to look at for the time of the trade, right? Which is important. Now let's look for a setups and look for time of the trade, which is it possible for us to be in that trade? Those are the things we will look at for these times that we are backtesting. Does that make sense now? Do you guys understand the basic of my explanation? Do you understand what I'm explaining? Not every trade, it means in briefly, not every trade that you backtest that makes sense that you're going to be in. It's as simple as that. Not every trade that makes sense that you backtest that you are going to be in the live market. Yeah, it makes sense in backtest because you can easily see it in inside. But in live market, doesn't make sense. Now, let's take for instance, this is a bullish setup, right? This is bullish setup, right? What are we looking for? What are we looking for in the bullish setups? Buy, right? We're going to be looking for buy. So we're not looking for sell. So when we're looking for buy, SMC criteria, what is that SMC basic criteria that you look at? When you're learning your SMC, chat, I want you to engage me now. When you're learning SMC, what are the first three things you look at for SMC? SMC traders, what are the first things you look at? Let's say elements of trades. Now we want to be mechanical in our approach. We want to make sure structure, liquidity, POI. Thank you. So those are the three things we look out for. Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Ruben and Freedom. So we look at structure as liquidity and POI. So both of you are right. Ruben is right. Wilson is right. Freedom is right. But three of you are right. When we're looking at structure, you're looking at the fact that the first element of trades here is that our structure is bullish, identified with no objective, bullish. So the next point of interest is going to be to buy. So liquidity, inducement. So if you're considering liquidity is also inducement, both the internal liquidity and the. So if you're looking at also POI from the bullish, we have a high, a low, 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 and a high, a low, and a high. And now, first point of interest at this price action is where is our point of interest? Where we are interested in taking trades for continuation, right? So we are saying that for continuation trade, we are going to be looking at this point of interest, right? We're going to be looking at this point of interest. This one, right? Why is this a point of interest? Because it was a last low right there that led to, even let's look, let's focus on the hourly. So let's leave the limit alone. So this was the last low that led to a range. This is a range, right? You can see that all of these are ranges. So let's use that as this. So these are a range. And remember what you learned in the basic entry models of price. What you learn is that you're going to have this, price take out liquidity, price book structure, and you look for buy. Am I right with this? When we have stop point, when we have a stop point, and we have a break of structure, and we have our entry. Am I right with that? Am I right? So, come on, who is that marking on my screen? Don't let us fight, chat. Someone is annotating on my screen and I don't like it. So this is what we're looking for in terms of continuation pattern. So we have our range. What has happened in our range? If you guys are writing on my screen, it distracts me and it makes me forget, the flow at which I'm moving. So please don't do that. So we have liquidity, which has been taken. You can see it as trend liquidity as well. You can see this. It was taken and we break structure, right? This is our point of interest now because we've taken liquidity and now we've broken structure, right? So what's the next thing? Inducement. So, we've given you one phrase here. What if we also have this, which is what I know a lot of you also use, where you've taken out this, you have your inducement and price comes back to take that out, right? This is where you then have a stop on taking. You have your stop and your break of structure, your inducement, and your point of interest. Is this also right, chat? Is this as well? Is it right? Yes, right? So where's our engagement? This is our engagement, right? Because we've broken structure, we've created a high, and we've not come back into that zone. So we know that now we have a point of interest. So number one thing, elements of trade, structure, done. Liquidity, observed as what? Engagement. So this is marked, and this is marked. So if we understand all of this, what is the next thing? Entry. Point of interest is our point of entry. So our point of interest now tells us that we can either be what? Conservative, or what? Or aggressive. We can either be what? Conservative. Can either be conserve, which is what? Confirmation trade. Or we can what? We can be aggressive, which is setting trades directly into. So which categories of entries do you fall into? Do you fall into conserve mode or aggressive mode? Chat. Which one do you fall into? Which part of trading do you fall into? The conserve mode or the aggressive mode? Which of the traders are you? SMC traders only, please. Which of these do you fall into? The conservative or the aggressive? Which of these do you fall into? Conservative, which means you are looking for confirmation, right, Yusuf? Do I have only Yusuf here? Do I have only Yusuf here? So remember, conservative, well, all of you are into conservative. Some traders, we have their, entry somewhere here, they stops here, and they look for the target. To the next time, fine and good. It makes sense. Goes down. Now, the advantage of conservative over the advantage of aggressive over conservative is you get to be in your trade at any point when price is down. You don't care if price is going to invalidate that, but you get to be in that trade over someone who is waiting for confirmation. Now, if you're conservative, there's a likely situations that you get tagged in when market comes in. Now, what are the things again that explain here when you are in live market? Remember, that is our point of interest, the time of trade. For someone that trades in London sessions from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. West African time, you can see I'm using UTC+1 again, back to the time. So if you're using New York time, which is this, it means that your timing at this price is going to be 9 on Friday. It means it's going to be 9, right? It's what you can see here. I think it's going to be 9 p.m. I'm not sure if it is a.m. I think it's going to be 9 p.m. New York. So if you're using UTC+1, like I use, you shouldn't have a problem with the timing, right? West African time. It means this is what 14 o'clock. Also around 14 o'clock is when? That should be 2, right? That should be 2 p.m., which means it falls quite well into our timing, our perfect time, Friday 2 p.m., 14 o'clock. It falls down into our timing. So it means this is what? This is 2 p.m. Friday. It means it's a trade that we can be in aggressively. If we are aggressive, right, on Friday, we can take that trade on Friday because it's 2 p.m. Still have about 5 hours straight to run till 7. But if we are going to be conserving, we have to wait for confirmation, which means as price got into our POI, right? If we are going to conserve ourselves, as price gets into POI, we want to see displacement. At this time, people who are aggressive are in the trade, right? But for us who want to be conserved, if you're conservative here, do you have your entry criteria already? Anyone? If you're conservative, do you have your entry criteria as price has tapped into your POI now that you're looking for? Do you have your confirmation trade already? Price has tapped into your POI now. This is your first move into your POI 4, which is the time you can be in the trade. and price has gone up. Is there any confirmation for you yet for conservative traders? Is there any confirmation for you yet at this price? Price has gone bullish up, but is there any confirmation yet? Victor, is there any confirmation yet? He said yes. Ruben, is there any confirmation yet? Yusuf, is there any confirmation? He said no. So for me as well, there's no confirmation yet. Because when you're coming to POI, there are two types of confirmation you can use. You can use a body candle or an engulf candle. When the next three candle engulf, you can use that as confirmation. And you can also use, that is first one, candlestick confirmation. You can also use momentum shift, right? That's confirmation. Momentum shift, right? This is your momentum shift. This is going to be your entry and your SL. So where's the momentum shift? None, because this is a high, this is a low. So we've not had any shift yet to give us confirmation for shift. Even if you're going to use this is going to be more like a sell pattern. So for an aggressive trader, they are in already, right? The first set of traders that took the trade, they are in aggressive. I could be aggressive too, but it boils down to the timing. I could be aggressive if we are probably on Tuesday or Monday. But since you're on Friday, I would not be aggressive. So 33 pips. And my target is going to be the high. I don't know what happened next in this chart. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to buy or not, because I just randomly click on replay on one chart. But I knew that we are bullish. I knew that is a point of interest. And I also know that we can be bearish if we did not break this high. And I also know for aggressive traders, we are in already. For conservative traders, we are not in yet. We want to see displacement. Either we did not use this engulf because it doesn't engulf in previous kind. The whole of the other block for this is this one, sell to buy. So the sell to buy has not been printed. So we don't have a buy motive. So now you can see Friday has closed where? Has closed here. And market opened on Sunday here. At the time market opens, we are back to conserve break-even, or we are back to our entry. But this time of trade, 20 to 30, is when it was Sunday when market is opening. Yes, it makes sense theoretically or technically for you to want to continue with the buy. But this time, does it make sense to open positions on Sunday by this time? SMC traders only. Does it make sense to open your trade by this time? Now, if you look at what I'm teaching, you will understand that not only am I telling you about the concept itself, I'm telling you about the probability of you being in a trade that you're not sure of. This time of trade, you're not going to be involved because it's going to match up to be an exchange session low, right? So if we have this in my mind, if we have this too low like this, I will be honest with you, if I want to be engaging in this trade, I would have preferred when we have this too low and price come back there in London session, then with this please, then I'll be taking this low as inducement for me to look for buy. So I'll be taking this low and say, okay, I want price to come lower and I will buy. In that case, yes, it makes sense for me to then put my limit again here and look for buy continuations to the upside. So that is another way I might want to get involved in that trade. So this gives me more risk to reward 4.5 against 3.6. So this is the most one. If I'm not aggressive here, then I'll prefer something like this. Am I communicating, Jack? So that I cannot be in the trade at this time because it's market opening. I would prefer to be in my trade for SMC traders. We know quite well our Q zones for trades is most likely going to be either New York overlap with London session or London opening or New York opening. We are not going to take a trade in Asian session, except we are dealing with Asian pairs, except we are dealing with gold, except we are dealing with oil. We cannot trade currencies that is USD related in Asian session. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? So that's the best way I would want to get into it. So if I'm looking for positions in live market, this is what I would have done. If I'm not taking aggressive from here, I'm taking what? I'm taking confirmations from this to the upside. So again, you can see now, those people that will give me the element of trade. We talk about structure, we talk about liquidity, talk about POI. What's our structure saying? We're saying our structure is what? Our structure is bullish. From here, you can see we want to continue with the buy. So we've done a liquidity inducement. For those who took inducement has been created into POI. Now we are looking at entry within our POI. So the next target is going to what? Our buy side. Am I communicating? So we now have traders who are waiting for London session. So this is now, what time is this? Monday, 9:45. Also Asian. We're also in Asian, and Monday has come in Asian Monday. So is there anything for us to do at that point? So we don't have, so we're watching price do its thing. So now let's play. Now this is us back into, we are not doing anything. So we are watching price in live market now. This is also back test, but we are still watching price. We've not done anything. We're waiting for price to probably maybe make a low as expected, then before we buy. A lot of people would say, Bernard, why don't you buy it? Not because it doesn't make sense for me to buy. Yes, we've shifted. It would make sense for me to buy if we actually had this low created maybe on Friday low and we shifted. Do you know it makes sense, right? From permission traders. Do you know this low makes sense for me to buy? Why? If this low was formed on Friday and we shifted this high, this place makes sense for me to buy. But it doesn't make any more sense because what? This low was created with market opening. Am I communicating? So these are things you want to put into perspective in live market condition as well. You can see now we are backtesting, but we want to simulate this backtest in such a way that we are sure that we are in a live chart, right? So we want to buy as well, but we do not get target, except you are an aggressive trader who use the POI as your basis of entry. If not, you are not in that trade. So we are coming back. Now that we are coming back, now let me play this. And you're coming back. You're back testing again. We didn't come to your point of interest. What will you do? Will you say, okay, now that I didn't come back there, can I use this area as point of interest? So are you going to consider, because price has not come back to your low, are you not going to consider this area here as the next buy to buy price? Are you going to consider this? Remember that we're also putting into perspective time. At what time did we come here? 15 o'clock on Wednesday, which means New York session already. At what time, if you want to look for New York continuation, will you want to continue the New York buy from there? Or would you still be expecting price? This is going to be a 5.4. Will you still expect price to go into your low? It's a general question, Jack. SMC traders, what will you do? Will you take it by continuations from live market if you are looking at this live market? Or would you assume that price is still going to come into your point of interest for you to buy? What will you do? Now, knowing that you've waited, how many minutes, how many days now? You've waited from this time that we formed, this low, up until when price is here. You've waited 3 days, 2 hours for you to even want to take continuation trade. What would be your reaction? Would you be looking to take a trade from your chart? No one is communicating with me. Would you be taking trade from here? Continuation trade. Your order block will break structure. Because if you look at it quite so after 3 days, you would say, yes, Bernard, why not? We've taken a break of structure, right? We had our order block, right? Would you be taking a trade? Would you be taking a trade? London, so it's the perfect time for trade, right? London session 3 p.m. It's okay. New York session, it's okay. Even though, would you? You still said yes. For me personally, I would not, because I would say I would take this as my range and I would say, okay, this is my inducement price. We induce the low. And if we most likely want to use a buy, I will use this buy. And what I would do in most cases, if I use that buy, that means I want to sacrifice more SL. I will do this, something like this, and I will still cover my low. If I want to sacrifice my SL, my risk to reward for this movement, like for this movement, this is what I would do. For me personally, it makes sense to buy below the inducement of this low. So let me take all of this out. But I would not do that, because if I want to do that quite well, it means that I want to add more risk to reward, add low risk to reward, because I will now have to sacrifice an LSO that I would not normally use. Am I communicating? So if I'm getting impatient with price, it means that now, okay, I'm no longer patient. I just want to get involved in price. It means that I will just allow price to do the inducement, right? I will just allow price to do this inducement right here, and I will buy something like the induce here, then we'll use this buy. But I'm still not confident in this low, because it was formed in markets opening situations. That is why I will not use this as my SL. I will prefer to still cover my low. Am I communicating? So let's see what happens. So what did you vote? Let's see your vote in the chat box. Is this going to play out? So let's pick each POI. Will you say these are first POI, these are second one, and these are third one? Which one will you pick? Your vote in the chat. Which one will you pick? Number one, number two, number three? Which one? Number one, two, or three? Which one? Three. If you guys should engage the chat. Which one will you pick? One, two, or three? Three, you have less risk reward. One, you have three, you have less risk reward. One, you have a better risk reward. Two, you have a better. Two has more risk reward than the rest. And one has also a good risk reward, but three has a high chance of you getting tagged in. Two have a chances of you getting SL. One has a better chance of you being safe. One and three has a better chance of you being safe at the expense of your SL. So this is our last low. We are protecting this low as our last low. So nobody picked two. Nobody picked two. So let's look at for me personally, I'll either want to miss out on the trade. I'll pick one. I'm not sure if price come back to one. It's likely a missed for me, or only if I get aggressive. I will just focus on these situations here, but I don't know if the one that we get happening. So everybody, you can feel we can pass, but it's all your leg. So nobody pick two. Why? Some people would say I can risk. So I can risk this on this. Why don't you risk that? So now we've played this in forward. So three now are tagged in. We are now on three. So for those who are on three, it's likely scenario that you are already in. For those who pick three, so there's a scenario that you are already in. So I want to delete the brush so that we can. I'm trying to delete all the brush. So let's go back to. So three has tagged in, two has it SL. So let me check the chart. No one picked two. No one picked two. Why don't you pick two? Because it doesn't make sense to you, right? That is what you learn in backtesting. It doesn't make sense. So I will also not pick two. Nobody picked two. So this is 1, 2, and 3. So people pick three. Michael picked three. Wilson picked three. A lot of you picked three. And yes, it's safe to know that you are involved in the trade. Why two is still waiting to get tagged in? So let's see what price does. So two is out of the chart already, not picked. We have one here. So three is picked, and three is in profit, which makes sense. Now, if you are a kind of traders who like to, once you get confirmation, you like to add more trades, at the point in three, would you be adding more trades, or would you just allow this trade to run out? Would you add more trades, or would you allow the trade to run out? You're not sure of the outcome of the trade, you don't know if it's going to continue bullish, but at this point, would you allow your trade to run, or would you add more position to your trade? Let's say you want to leverage on your trade. You allow your trade to run with your normal risk, or would you add position when you have this new end goal? What will you do? So at this time, when we got into 3, it was 17 o'clock. It's still okay that you are in this trade, but now the timing is against you, which is now 20 o'clock, which means I'm not going to be adding more position. These are the things that Backtest will tell you. That, okay, now that I'm in this trade, outside of the New York session, we are now into Asian session. There's no how. The question I asked, there's no how you should be adding to this position anymore, because now you're outside of what? Outside of the session you should be trading. Am I communicating? Yeah, definitely outside of the session you should be trading. So this gives me more notes to say, if we have a build up in the Asian session, we can still manipulate these lows and continue higher. For me, that's what I will feel. So I will not be adding more to that session if I'm not even sure of, the movement in itself. So we allow trades to do a thing. So we allow trade to run a thing in Asian session. So now we're waiting for trades to run again. So at this point, we are not expecting so much. We're not expecting anything. We're just waiting for price to unveil itself. So I will speed up a bit to. So now the next time I'll be waiting for prices outside of my 7 a.m. London opening time. So the only time I'll be taking decisions again is at this point, 7 a.m. When London session is back up, right? So outside of this red line, vertical red line, so let me take out this. Let me use this as, because now I'm using the as a, I don't like yellow. Okay, still looks the same. I don't like these colors. Purple. So outside of this is not purple, is it purple? Outside of this, we then wait for price to unveil itself. You can see now the follow-up of this price action. I want you to pay attention to this. We've waited for this price action since Friday. So aggressive traders on Friday are in this trade already. You are getting in this trade on Monday, which is 3 days after you've analyzed your chart. And you're still in your entry till Tuesday. You can see that while we are using the replay tool, we are being realistic with ourselves. How long does it take for price to even give us the profit we are looking for? So within 2 days, 5 days, you're still, because from here now, right? From here that you are being in the trade aggressively, up until now, that's 3 days. And now on Thursday, we make it 4 days, right? Tuesday will come and make it 4 days, which means time is an efficient concept in trading. You have to be patient. You have to understand the timing and how it affects your trades. Yes, if we speed up in life in this back testing now, it's going to happen so fast. But in the live market condition, the market is so slow that you have to just wait. A lot of people like, I can't wait again. Prices has been here for a long time. I have to close my trade. I just have to do this and that is not moving. Things like that affect profitability. So you have to allow the trade to work out based on the timing it takes to do that, right? So we'll still wait to see. So now look at that. Look at that. What happens? Immediately we got into London session. What did you see? Confirmation trade, right? There's still another confirmation trade. That's if we go to lower time frame, then I would be able to make more reasons why. Look at this. Immediately we get into what? London session. Look at the impulsiveness. So it wouldn't have made sense for me to say, okay, now that I've seen this, I might be able to get in on a buy from this low, because this low was New York low, while this high was Asian high. So price, if we come to lower time frame, we've gotten another entry here, which is now going to be more refined. So what have we done? Smart money concept traders. What do you think has happened there? If we then come back to the low, now let's come down there and give ourselves work to do. So if we come to lower time frame, let's say 5 minutes, we're on the 30 minutes, 5 minutes. Look at this low. What low was this? So the people that picked two, nobody picked two. So it is out of the trade. So we're not, nobody is making loss there. So we saw that we've come into the low on three, right? If you want to add more positions, would have been, okay, we've shifted this low as taking liquidity. If you trade lower time frame and has shifted that. Most importantly, this low was formed when 1745, which is New York close, right? So this is a low that was formed in New York. Low, previous day low, which is New York. Then we build up liquidity for Asian session. So we created an inducement, right? Break of structure, low, high, inducement. And what it happens, we came back there. When London opening. So will you be taking this, although it's already inside, well, definitely it's already inside. Will you be taking this already now? You'll be taking this kind of trade and you still put your stop loss low, or will you put your stop loss at this point here? Would you be taking this as confirmation? Low here, SL here, or SL here? There would that be here. Where would that be your? No, we are still following the fact that price is bullish, right? We are not doing anything bearish. We're still following bullish. Would you place your SL somewhere here for better risk to reward? Your stops, your TP here, or would your stop loss still be at this low? Looking at the fact that you still expect price to come to one, which one would you do? Which one would you do? Which one would you do, Chad? Higher risk to reward. So which means, there's difference between when you have a higher risk to reward, you want to make sure you are not implicating yourself with tight SL. You don't want to be too tight. So if you put this here, fine. But for me, I would not do that. I'm not in that era anymore. That was maybe 2 years ago. I would do that. But now I'm more focused on making money than getting stopped out. So I will do this. Or probably I would just reduce my risk a bit to something about 30 or 40. So I'll still make it about 1, 2, 3. So I want to make sure I get 1, 2, 3 for me. If you check on my chat, if you're on my Discord, you see that most of the time I always want to get 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I will just get into look for 1, 2, 3 trade. So I don't care if my stop is not going to be tight. So I look for tight also probably 2 years or 3 years ago. But now I just look for consistent profit. That's what I look for. So if you take this one, fine, then you should know that you are profit. So now all you have to do is wait once you have been interested. So for me, who initially picked this low, it means that I am not in this trade for this low. But if I'm aggressive on Friday, it means that I'm staying in this trade. So we have different entries that has been analyzed for us on the chart. So what happens next, chart? Now, considering that now this market has come to take out liquidity, and now we eventually break structure and price has stuck into supply. Do you assume that this now is a valid, now we are back to the one I picked, which is the last one. We've come to pick out Sunday low. Do you not think this is a safe buy for the market? Now, for you that picked this one, you are now in drawdown. For you that picked this, you are back to break even. For you that picked this, you're still in the market, but you're in drawdown. If you pick this one, you are what in drawdown. So for me, we'll pick the last one, which is number 3. I'm now in the trade. Is it a valid trade to continue? Because now we are back into still the same POR. So is it a valid long position chart? Would you join me in 3, or would you say, Brignac, I'm not taking? What time is this? 14 o'clock. 14 o'clock is 2 o'clock New York time. So it's a perfect entry for me. Would you be taking the trade? Yes or no? Will you be joining me manual execution? Or if you have your limit here, you are triggered already, would you be joining the trade? This is already reaction. What reaction are you waiting for again, Mayawa? This is already reaction. We've seen reaction tapping there with faith and prices here. Is it a valid point of view? So now, the way I'm asking you a question, you're assessing yourself. You're seeing how price keep it in going. Now you're asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? Is it consistent with what I'm doing? So you've waited 4 days. Now we're back to Wednesday. From Tuesday, you're in profit on Tuesday. Came back to this high. Yeah, some of you that have taken profit, let's say at 1 to at 1 to 3, maybe you have taken partials. It's fine. You've created your money. So I don't think if you take this trade, you'll be in a loss. No, you will not be in a loss. You should have broken even by then. So this is now another day, Wednesday. From Friday, we follow this price action since Friday. Then on Wednesday, almost half of the week is gone. We are still on this particular pair. Is it a perfect trade for you to take continuation chart? SMC trader, what else are you looking for? This is more like we are looking for confirmation, right? So what happened next? So now you've seen this. Is this now a perfect trade to take? This is now me in the trade. Now I'm number 3 who has been in that trade. Remember what I said last? So I'm already in the trade as number 3. So I didn't trade this, I didn't trade this, I didn't trade this. I picked this one because it was my initial plan since Sunday opening. So now on Wednesday, which was my initial plan, we are just coming into fusion and following price. And I can see that we're still following the same motive. So I want to see if price is a good example for me to up onto this. So what time do we create this? 18 o'clock, which is Tuesday high. So which means if I'm looking for sales, if I'm looking for target, I'm looking for Tuesday high as objective to be taken. I don't know what happened next, to be honest. I don't know if price is going to take me out. I don't know. We have taken a stop point. We have shifted high. So I'm hoping that probably this is the last high that will take price to the upside. So probably this is going to be a new entry if I'm waiting for confirmation. But there's no reason for me to wait for confirmation if I'm already within my point of interest for long. So if I take, I'm in profit already. So I can't break even yet as well. I can only break even maybe probably when we break this high, or maybe when we break this high. So this is the safest point for me to break even. So there's no break even yet for me. So at this time, I am now involved in the trade, right? So what do I do? Absolutely nothing. I can do nothing because now price is now going to be the one to tell me if I'm going to make a loss or not. So let's see what happens with price. So what happens next? I break even. I told you, Tuesday high, objective. And my target is going to be here. At this point, what do you do? Because now it is 1 to 4. At this point, I'm moving what? Let's see. So at this point, I'm moving 1 to 3. I'm okay, right? But I still want my target to be hit. So break even partial taking at this high. Remember when the previous high is taking, I'll most likely go into so do you guys remember where we started from? So if you take this, you're in trade, making profit. If you take this back to break even, but if you join me on 3, I think I was the only one who picked 1. Who else picked 1? Nobody. Wilson picked 3, Michael picked 3, Youngers picked 3, Ruben picked 3. I picked 1. I picked 1. Do you think the rest of the people that picked 3, do you think they were wrong? So Wilson, are you still in the trade? I want you, those people that picked 3 to answer me. Are you still in that trade? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that this was the 3 you picked, this one, and our SL is still the low, right? This one. It means that at this point when price went higher, most of you would have broken even. You remember that your risk reward, Wilson, will you still be in the trade, genuinely? Would you be in the trade? Yeah, Wilson said no. You saw, will you be in the trade? Why won't you guys be in the trade? Because I know that a lot of you would have broken even. The reason why you would have broken even is because you've seen that impulsive, then you move your stop to break even. But what happens? We've not yet broken the high. So why did you break even? That's what you need to work on. If you've not broken the high, yes, it's safe that you break even because you want to protect your stop loss. It's fine. You want to protect your, but the only time I break even my trade, I told you I can break even. I can only break even maybe at this high or at this high. So I can break even yet, even when we shifted from this high, because I knew that is going to be detrimental to my trade. So this is a trade now. Very close to SL, but because we are still within a point of interest. Remember what I said? We have equal low, price take them out. And because price is taking them out, I'm using that as an entry, right? So it means that I took the buy from this one, and my stop is below the last low that was formed where we are coming from. And my target to the next high. Boom, to the upside. Why still monitoring the time at which we mitigate this point? So the time at which you come into my POI, which was 14 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I will take the trade within that time. So I will allow price to do a thing. I'm not going to affect the trade. I'm not going to. So what happened next? Did we get to break even? Did we get to? So I told you profit would have been taken. Then most likely follow up on price. There's not going to be much going to happen. The least that could happen is price coming back into this area. But that's the least that could happen. I don't think price has a reason to come and take out this low anymore. Yes, if taking out the high, you need external high to be taken. So most likely there's not going to be any reason for price. So you want to take out the low. So you can see what I said. Now we're following up on the last low that this has happened. And now, because this is the last low where confirmation has taken place, remember, the reason why this is a valid zone, I said in the last thing that I gave you guys here, before I removed it, I think I did something like this, that there are confirmations that you would take where you have displacement like this, you wait for price to come back and to buy. So in this situation, it's the same thing with that, right? You wait for price to come back to buy. So price is coming back. Then you want to buy back into the next high. So if you're taking a buy from this format, it means that you're taking a buy from here, and your target has nothing to do with this high or this high. Your target has something to do with this particular high. Am I communicating? At what time did you come here? 16 o'clock, perfect New York time to take a trade as well. Will you be taking this trade? Will you be taking this trade? Remember that before all of this happened, I'm giving you clarification into why it's a good trade, it's not a good trade, it's a bad trade, it's not a bad trade. Are you guys following? So I'm giving you reasons why these are good trades, these are bad trades, these are good trades. At the same time, I'm preparing your mindset to see how long it takes for you to be in these single trades. Since like Friday, we are now on Monday, the following week. Can you see how crazy that is? I took a trade here on Wednesday. It played out to this point, came back all the way back on Monday, another week, which means we've used 2 weeks on a single trade without TP. 2 weeks without TP. You can see how understanding the volume in price, how understanding the time of price plays a significant role as a trader. Am I communicating? Is it complex? If you are enjoying this session, put one on the chat box. Let me know I'm talking to traders that understand me. If you are enjoying it, one on the chat box. Wisin said he's enjoying and understand. Wisin. Freedom, yes. Even we have 19 persons here, so I want more people to. If you are not here, I could remove you and knowing that you're not here. So if you're enjoying this and you understand what I'm teaching, put on the chat. So not only am I teaching you the concept at which trades likely may play out, I'm also showing you potentials at which you might be missing out on the trade. Remember that we talk about the elements of trades. We said elements of trade, structure, liquidity, and POI. We understand this to the depth of our knowledge, right? We know what we are looking for. Structure bullish, liquidity is taking, POI, now we are reviewing a point of interest. Now, our problem right now is the entry. What is price doing in our entry? Now, this is where we make decisions that we want to make. So we've been in this trade since Friday, and in 2 weeks, we are still at the same point. You see, now we are waiting to see what price we do. We are not panicking, we are just mechanical in our approach. So what happens next is what play out on Monday. Now, knowing that Monday has played this out, and this Monday created 18 o'clock, I'll be waiting for price to shift again, and I'll be looking for continuation of buy. The only time my mindset will look away from buy is until we then take out this low and say, Brainer, I think you are wrong with your buy. I think market is going to sell. That is when I will move my hand and say, okay, I'm not going to be involved I'm no longer looking for buy. I'm looking for sales. Why? Because structure now is telling me that the last low has been taken. So why should I be looking for that? So see what happens next. Remember, I told you that my target is going to be where? For any other thing, my target is going to be this side. So whatever our price does is up to the market. So I will speed this up in no time. So you can see that price also still came lower into more, but we did not take out the low. What have you learned? What have you learned, chat? Let me know what you learned in the chat box. So again, if you're on 3 and you did not break even your trade, you will get to TP, which is this R. You can see price has come into TP. So which means we've potentially get to our target. So this trade took 2 weeks duration to study and to wait to understand the price cycle and price delivery. This took us 2 weeks, right? From time that was formed, this low, where we engaged this low, down into when we came here, 12 days. It tests your patience. It also tests your understanding of what level is valid, what level is not valid. Am I communicating? We could go on and on and on, and this is why I tell you, if you want to back test, put so many things into perspective, put the time of trade into perspective, put the sessions of trades that you will take into perspective, and also what? Put your ideal, put the ideal things you will do in the live market. Some of you, I told you, have you broke even? A lot of you said, yes, I would have broken even, which means you will not be in the trade, you would have broken even. Some of you said, I will be aggressive, which means at this point, you will be in the trade. At this point, you will not be in the trade. So backtesting not only shows you the trades that are valid, it also shows you the trade that you will not be in ideally based on the time it's formed. A lot of people will say these other blocks. Yes, other blocks are on the chart, but do you know if you are going to take the other block if price comes into that? Except you are leaving a limit on overnight, or you are leaving your limit on during weekend or not that. That is only the time you're going to be in the trade. Does that make sense? You see, now that we just used about more than an hour to explain just a setup that takes place in 2 weeks, you can see how much of a back test you have to do to wait, do like 10 different backtest session on a singular pair for you to consistently do that over time. You know how long you're going to take to arrive at this situation. Elements of trades, yes, these are the things that we use, nothing complex. Element of trade, structural liquidity, POI, you've done that. Except you don't understand this, you have a problem with what we have explained. If you understand this, you know that the only thing that has happened that has wasted our time is what? Is not structure, is not liquidity. It is what happens in our point of interest. That is the only thing that wasted our time, our point of interest reaction. Does that make sense? Any question? If you have question, let me know in the chat box. Do you have any question? So we can go on and do so many other things, but I'm giving you an assessment. You also go to your chart. If you have trading view premium, I'm using premium. So if you're using a trading view premium, or you have free trading backtest, I want to give you an assessment to look at chart yourself. Look at what I've teach you, the timing. If you don't know what this is where you can get this time, this particular date range is here. Come to these zones, look at your date range. Yeah, this one. You can see I use price range, I use date range. So the two, I use them. So look at your date range. So you'll be able to know the time it takes for market to form its price action. And also you know the time it takes for you to hold on to that trade. So from when the market is ready to move, it takes less time. So from year to year, it takes how many minutes? It takes maybe an hour or 2 or 4. So it takes you 1 day. So still fair, 1 day, 8 hours, still fair. When it's ready to move, the market will show you it's ready to move. So does that make sense? In fact, if you follow price action well, you can get into confirmation here. What time? 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. Very perfect time. Just like when was that? When we had 8 o'clock on Tuesday, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, perfect timing. That's why most time, what of this? We have it at 4 o'clock New York. This entry was around 8 o'clock Tuesday. This entry was around 8 o'clock Wednesday. So most of the time you can get your entry within that duration. Q zone 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. until probably New York session overlap around 1 and 2. So if you have a question, let me know in the chat box. So without questions, I think we've spent a lot of hours here. So I'll be leaving you guys till next time when we have enough time to do more backtesting session. I've just given you an insight into how to backtest properly, how to know when to be aggressive in the chart, when you are uncertain what to do next, and how to trust your zones perfectly. So see you next time, chat. Good luck and God bless you all. Peace and love.